What's going on, ladies and gentlemen? It's Daniel, and welcome back to another video. Today, I'll be talking about 10 drivers who could join the Cup Series in 2025 on a full-time basis or a part-time basis. At the end of 2024, there are going to be a lot of rides that could be potentially available, and there's a lot of drivers in the Cup Series right now that are currently on the hot seat, and free agency could be crazy at the end of 2024. So today, I'm going to talk about 10 drivers who could have a chance and opportunity to make their jump back up into the Cup Series or could join for the first time in 2025. So anyways, let's go ahead and just jump straight into it. The first driver that could join the Cup Series on a full-time or part-time basis in 2025 is Cory Heim. Cory Heim currently competes full-time in the Truck Series for Tricon Garage and has been extremely impressive in the last couple of seasons. Last year in 2023, he scored 3 wins, and also it was announced very recently that Cory Heim will be the reserve driver for 2 organizations, that being Legacy Motor Club and also 2311 Racing. He is one of the higher-up drivers on Toyota's development pipeline, and I think of how much talent Cory Heim brings, he probably should have won the championship last year, of how consistent, how good he was. I think there is a very strong chance and possibility with how good of a driver he is that he could join full-time or part-time in 2025. So what are the options? Well, one of the options is Joe Gibbs Racing and driving the number 19 car, because there's a great chance and possibility that Martin Truex Jr. might retire at the end of 2024, but there is a chance that he could return. The other 2 options are driving for the 2 teams that he is reserve driver for. The first one being Legacy Motor Club and driving the number 84 car. Jimmie Johnson in 2025 is going to be 50 years old. And I don't know how much longer Jimmie Johnson is going to want to race in the NASCAR Cup Series and go eventually focus on being an owner in the sport. And I think Legacy is going to have a good season. I think there's a good chance that he does take that 84 car, especially if Legacy Motor Club decides to make that 84 car a full-time charter team. The second team is 2311 Racing. The number 67 car is going to run select races in 2024. We know that there's going to be some international drivers most likely behind the wheel of that car, but I think there's a chance he does make his debut at some point in 2024 with 2311 Racing being a reserve driver of that organization. I think that Cory Heim has a very strong chance to drive for one of these organizations, that being 2311 Racing or Legacy Motor Club. He's got the talent to do it. He's a very capable driver, and I think he absolutely deserves an opportunity to make some Cup starts even this year, but I think there's a great chance and possibility that he could be a full-time NASCAR Cup Series driver at the end of 2024 and join full-time in 2025 at only the age of 22 years old. I think Cory Heim is definitely the number 1 guy for sure to watch out for on the prospects list. The second driver who could join the Cup Series on a full-time basis or part-time in 2025 is Chandler Smith. Now, Chandler Smith has made select NASCAR Cup Series starts in the past, drove for Kaulig Racing in 3 or 4 starts. This year, though, he will be leaving Kaulig Racing and joining Joe Gibbs Racing, driving the number 81 car. Now, why is that really significant? Well, according to Matt Weaver a few months ago, he's actually one of the reserve drivers for Joe Gibbs Racing. And if any driver in Joe Gibbs Racing pipeline has to sit out a race, he would be the first guy that they go to be the reserve driver. Now, like I mentioned, he has made some select Cup starts before, and Chandler Smith, in my opinion, is a very talented driver. He's about the same age as Cory Heim, and I think that Chandler Smith absolutely would be a great candidate to get behind the wheel of a Cup Series team. Now, what teams could Chandler Smith go to in 2025? Well, there are a couple options. The first option, of course, is taking over for Martin Truex Jr. Martin Truex Jr., I think there's a great chance and possibility that he could retire at the end of the 2024 season. And I think that he would be a great candidate to take over that number 19 car or the 18 car as it is renumbered. I think he's really high up Joe Gibbs Racing's pipeline, and I think with how good of a driver he is, I think he'd do a really good job with JGR. The second team is Legacy Motor Club, because another option I could see is John Hunter Nemechek, who currently drives the Legacy Motor Club in the Cup Series. There is a great chance that John Hunter could switch from Legacy Motor Club and go over and take over the number 18 or the number 19 car for that team in 2025. And that could open up the opportunity for Chandler Smith to go and drive for Legacy Motor Club and the number 42 car. That would be a really solid and a really good option for that team if it did become available. So I would love to see Chandler Smith get the opportunity, and I think there is a good chance and opportunity that Chandler Smith could join the Cup Series on a full-time or a part-time basis in 2025. The third driver who could join the Cup Series on a full-time or part-time basis in 2025 is Matt DeBenedetto. This might sound a little bit crazy, but there's a lot of talk that Matt DeBenedetto was actually going to make select Cup Series starts with Kaulig Racing in 2024 in the number 16 car. Obviously, those rides have been given to Shane Van Gisbergen for 7 races this year, we talk about later in this episode, and also Josh Williams, who's going to run a couple races as well. I think Josh Williams and Shane Van Gisbergen were given those rides. But Chris Rice went on Series 7 NASCAR radio recently, and he mentioned that Matt DeBenedetto could make some starts with this team, potentially in 2024. But if Matt DeBenedetto is able to find some funding and some sponsorship, maybe he could get a chance at an opportunity to drive for this team full-time in 2025, because I believe that Matt DeBenedetto was going to drive a majority of races with the team. Is Matt DeBenedetto the greatest driver in the world? No, absolutely not. But I think Matt DeBenedetto absolutely deserves another chance and opportunity to be in the NASCAR Cup Series. I think he would do a very solid and really good job with Kaulig Racing. Like I said, he wouldn't necessarily set the world on fire because Kaulig Racing has struggled as an organization the last year or so. But I think he would do a decent job. It would probably be around the line of Daniel Hemrick, and they'd be very, very equal. Now, do I think he'll be full-time? Probably not. But I think there's a good chance, at least in 2025, that Matt DeBenedetto could at least be a part-time driver in the NASCAR Cup Series. So, yes, I think there is a chance and possibility if Kaulig Racing still wants to work with Matty D. It'd be a great family heir. Hopefully he gets a better PR person if he gets the chance. And I think there is a chance that Matt DeBenedetto could be full-time or part-time in the Cup Series in 2025. The fourth driver who could join the Cup Series on a full-time basis or part-time basis in 2025 is Shane Van Gisbergen. Now, yes, Shane Van Gisbergen is going to make 7 NASCAR Cup Series starts in 2024. It was announced a few days ago he'll be with Kaulig Racing in those select seats. And that car, from what I understand, is going to be paired by Trackhouse Racing. But that's where things go, because remember, he's going to be running full-time in the NASCAR Xfinity Series this season in 2024, driving the number 97 car for Kaulig Racing, and of course, we'll have WeatherTech as a sponsor for a majority of those races. Now, if he performs well enough, because I think he might struggle a little bit at the beginning of the season at the Ovals, I think by the end of the year, though, he is going to be competing for wins on ovals on a very consistent basis. Now, how could he get up to the Cup Series on a full-time basis? Well, there's one key factor. Either Trackhouse Racing decides to expand to 3 full-time entries, because there are a couple drivers that are fighting for the number 99 seat. Also, Zane Smith. Yes, he's technically under contract with Spire this year, but he's also under contract with Trackhouse Racing. The other option, like I mentioned, is taking over the number 99 car. Dale Swartz going into the season is 1,000% on the hot seat currently at the moment. He needs to step up to the plate and have a really good season, or at least improve, because last year in 2023, he struggled and missed the playoffs. Meanwhile, his teammate Ross Chastain was able to make it to the playoffs in 2023 and won 2 races. In the last 2 years, he's won 4 combined races. Dale Swartz only made it to the playoff once in his career, of course, 2022. Did almost make it around today, to be fair, but he's missed the playoffs in all but one of his seasons. So I think Dale Swartz needs to step up to the plate. Otherwise, I think that Shane Van Gisbergen may end up taking over his seat in the 2025 season. I think it'd be a really solid pickup for the team, though, and I think there's a chance Dale Swartz does stay behind the wheel of the number 99 car, but I think there's also a really strong chance of possibility that Shane Van Gisbergen could take that seat in the 2025 season. The fifth driver who could join the Cup Series on a full-time or part-time basis in 2025 is Cole Custer. Cole Custer is back in the Xfinity Series in 2024, driving a 00 car after, of course, winning the NASCAR Xfinity Series title and championship. Cole Custer was very impressive last season. Xfinity scoring 3 victories, and SHR near the end of the season showed a lot of improvement and a lot of speed. And I expect that Cole Custer is going to be very, very fast in the 2024 season once again. He also did make some select Cup Series starts with Rick Ware Racing last year in 2023. And to be honest, he wasn't absolutely the greatest, but he was not that bad of a driver, all things considered. Now, if he was to jump up to the Cup Series on a full-time basis, where could he go to? Well, obviously one of the teams is Stewart-Haas Racing. But the issue is that outside of Ryan Preece at the moment, none of the drivers are out of contracts. You've got Josh Berry is there on a multi-year deal, and you've also got, of course, Ryan Preece, the only guy that could be available at the moment, because Grayson's got a multi-year deal, even though I'm not sure how he's going to do. And then, of course, you have Chase Briscoe signed long-term with Stewart-Haas Racing. The big question is going to be, Where else could he go to? Well, the Wood brothers could be an option because Harrison Burton, there's a really good chance of possibility if he doesn't step up this season that he could lose his ride with the Wood brothers at the end of 2023. At 4, I should say. I think that could be where Cole Custer ends up. But personally, I think it's going to be at least part-time next year, maybe with Rick Ware again, or maybe with the Wood brothers perhaps, or some other organization in the Ford camp. Because I think Cole Custer deserves another chance potentially to work in the Cup Series. So we'll see what happens, but I think Cole Custer could be a Cup Series driver once again in the not-so-distant future. The 6th driver who could join the Cup Series on a full-time or part-time basis in 2025 is Riley Herbst. Now, Riley Herbst currently drives the number 98 car for Stewart-Haas Racing in the NASCAR Xfinity Series. But he also is going to make some select Cup Series starts with Rick Ware Racing in 2024, including in the Daytona 500. Now, Riley Herbst, like I said, has shown a lot of improvement, but I think there's a chance and possibility with how much he's improved that we could see him join the Cup Series in 2025. Now, what are the options for Riley Herbst in 2025? Well, I've already mentioned it's a Cole Custer, but the number 21 car could be an option and could be an availability for him if Harrison Burton does not show any sort of improvement in the 2024 season. The other option is a Rick Ware car. If Cody Ware doesn't return to the sport, because there's a chance that Cody Ware is going to make some starts in Cup this year in 2024, I could see Riley Herbst taking over the number 15 car if Kaz Grala also doesn't return, though I think that Kaz Grala has a really good chance of the sponsorship he's bringing that he may end up returning. I think Riley Herbst, though, is a capable enough driver. He's gotten better in the sport, and I think he's going to continue to improve and win a couple races in Xfinity, which could potentially lead Riley Herbst to having a chance at a really strong opportunity to be going Cup Series racing in 2025. Whether that is full-time or part-time is going to be TBD at this particular moment and this particular point, but I think Riley Herbst definitely is a major and massive candidate to make a return to the sport, in return to the Cup Series and make some starts in Cup, at least for sure, in the 2025 NASCAR Cup Series season. The 7th driver who could join the Cup Series on a full-time or part-time basis in 2025 is Hailie Deegan. Now, a lot of people are going to think I'm a little crazy for picking Hailie Deegan, but hear me out. Look, Hailie Deegan does have some sponsorship and funding with her. She's bringing Viva and Airbox with her into the NASCAR Xfinity Series with her rides at AM Racing this season, because remember, she is moving up to the NASCAR Xfinity Series, but she also does bring a big fan base to her channel, and also, of course, is going to be driving for AM Racing in the Xfinity Series in 2024. And even though Ford was a little frustrated with her last year, they really like Hailie Deegan still. And I think Ford is going to be really pushing her to move up to the NASCAR Cup Series in 2025, at least on a part-time basis. Now, where could Hailie Deegan go to? Well, there's only a few options in my opinion. The RFK number 60 car could be an option. Obviously, RFK is going to have a number 60 stage 60 car. I know that's reserved mostly for international drivers and other drivers who could go there, but Hailie Deegan could go to that number 60 car. The other potential option is obviously going to maybe the number 15 for Rick Ware, if Kaz Grala or, of course, Cody Ware does not return to that team. I think that could be another option for her as well. If she does move up the Cup, though, in 2025, it will not basically be off of talent. It will be off basically the amount of funding that she has. Because while I think she is a talented race car driver, she's not the best driver in the world and wouldn't be the most deserving. But I think with how high she is on Ford's development pipeline, I think there's a really strong chance and possibility that Ford is really going to be pushing her to move up to the NASCAR Cup Series as early as the 2025 NASCAR Cup Series season. The 8th driver who could join the Cup Series on a full-time or part-time basis in 2025 is Sam Mayer. Now, Sam Mayer has been with Junior Motorsports since the 2021 season, and last year in 2023, he had a massive breakout season. If I'm not mistaken, I think he's really high on a lot of people's radars, because like I said, he had a breakout year last year, scoring 4 victories. I think he's a good enough driver to move up already to the Cup Series, and he's only, 19 or 20 years old, about the same age as Carson Hosmart, and he's in the Cup Series this year, so maybe we could see someone like him go Cup racing in 2025. Now, what could be the options for Sam Mayer going into the 2025 season? Well, if Junior Motorsports, if they decide to move up to the Cup Series in 2025, that could be an option. Junior Motorsports, there's a chance it could move up. Granted, they said that the last couple years, and they still have not made the move up to the Cup Series at this particular point. But I would imagine that Sam Mayer could be a really strong and solid option for the Cup Series. He's a good enough driver, and if Junior Motorsports was to make the jump up, Sam Mayer would be a fantastic option for them. The other option is Kaulig Racing. Kaulig Racing is probably going to be looking for some drivers, and Sam Mayer does have, I think, a little bit of funding and a little bit of sponsorship. I think QPS is still working with them this year, so that could be an option if Kaulig does not downsize their program in 2025, because there's a chance they could downsize their program. But I think Sam Mayer is a capable enough driver to get behind the wheel, and I think he'd do a really solid and strong job, regardless of what organization and team he would drive for. Again, I think there's a chance he makes some starts with one of Chevy's cars, one of Chevy's development cars, or if Junior Motorsports decides, hey, we're going to go Cup Series racing in 2025. We'll have to wait and see what happens, but I think Sam Mayer does have a really strong chance and a very high chance and possibility of making some starts in Cup in 2024 and also making some starts in Cup in the 2025 season. The ninth driver who could join the Cup Series on a full-time or part-time basis in 2025 is Ty Dillon. Now, Ty Dillon, I think there's a very strong chance. Right now, he's going to be back in the Truck Series in 2025, with Rackler Racing in the number 25 truck. Now, according to reports, Ty Dillon is still working on a potential opportunity to run in the Cup Series in 2024. Most likely, probably going to end up being with Kaulig Racing and the number 16 car in the 2024 season. Now, where could Ty Dillon go if he got the opportunity to go back Cup racing? Because if he impresses with Rackley this year, some people are going to be saying, hey, Ty Dillon deserves another chance and opportunity. Well, Beer Motorsports could be an option, as much as I say it, because Beer Motorsports, we don't know what that team is doing past 2024. That certainly could be an option for them. The other team that I could see Ty Dillon going to in the 2025 season, maybe, of course, is Kaulig. If Kaulig needs someone with funding and sponsorship, and Ty Dillon has Ferris Mowers as a sponsor, to my understanding, and a couple other companies I think are still working with Ty Dillon. He's also a KHI managed driver. He could end up going there in 2025. That certainly could be a major option and a really strong possibility. It's going to be interesting to see how things play out. Again, I don't think Ty Dillon's the best driver in the world, but he's capable enough to be competitive, and I think Ty Dillon could definitely be back in the Cup Series next year in the 2025 season if he can bring the funding and sponsorship, because I think funding and sponsorship is going to be the massive key for him to get the chance and opportunity to jump back up to the Cup Series. And the 10th final driver that could join the Cup Series on a full-time or part-time basis in 2025 is Austin Hill. Austin Hill, about a couple months ago, back in August, announced a multi-year contract extension with Richard Childress Racing. He also made select Cup Series starts last year for Beer Motorsports, and honestly, he did an all-right job. And I think that there is a chance this year, because he's not going to be likely driving for Beer Motorsports in the 2025 season, I should say. I think there's a chance he'll be in Cup at least part-time here in 2024, driving the number 33 car. But if he does end up driving the number 33 car, what team could he end up driving for? Well, most likely it could be the number 3 car. Yes, Austin Dillon technically does have a contract through 2025, but if they do decide to go ahead and say Austin Dillon makes the decision to retire from the NASCAR Cup Series, Austin Hill will be the first choice. And isn't it a little convenient that he signed a 2-year contract extension when Austin Hill's contract only goes through 2025? This is opening door for Austin Hill to take the number 3 car. And let's be honest, I think Austin Dillon is more set for the management role at this point than being a driver in the Cup Series. I think Austin Dillon isn't an awful driver, but Austin Hill, in my opinion, is a better driver. So I would absolutely love to see Austin Hill have the opportunity and shot to be in the NASCAR Cup Series in the not-so-distant future. Again, I think most likely it's going to be with RCR if he does get the chance and opportunity to move up the Cup. We'll see what RCR does decide to do in regards to the future of Austin Hill and if they decide to move him up. Because I think there's a chance he'll be back in Xfinity next year. I think he has a 2-year contract in the 21, but I think there's also a chance, a possibility, that Austin Hill may or may not move up to the Cup Series full-time in 2025 as well, because he does have funding and sponsorship. So, those are the 10 drivers who I think could join the Cup Series in 2025. I want to thank you guys for watching. Please subscribe to the channel, notifications on, so if I win a video, it does go live on my channel. Follow me on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram, and support me on Patreon as well. Links description below that, and comment your thoughts below on today's episode. What drivers do you think will join the Cup Series in 2025? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. I don't think there's any more videos dropping on the channel today. Tomorrow, more than likely, there might be a 2026 NASCAR silly season predictions dropping on the channel if the weather does not hold off. Monday, if the race does end up happening, we'll probably do a race video on the channel. We got a lot of great content dropping on the channel as we're about 2 weeks away from the Daytona 500. So anyways, like I said, I want to thank you guys for watching today's episode, and I'll see you guys next time for more great, awesome NASCAR content and other motorsports content on the channel like this. Take care, everybody.